Hello, it's Dr. Len Ershow, and I did the slide. This is the Isolation Survivors Toolkit, and we're doing a Foundations yoga class with Christina Grummon. And Christina is the owner and operator of YogaSoul, New Jersey, and she has a variety of very experienced yoga teachers who help her fulfill her mission with this. This is her address at 64 Princeton Heightstown Road in Princeton Junction, New Jersey. And her telephone number, her webpage, and her email info are right at the top. I'm going to leave this slide at the end of the presentation as well. So if you are participating in this class and not writing things down, don't worry about it. We're going to record this and then you can take a look at this later. Now, Christina, I am familiar with yoga to some degree, but why don't you tell me about some of the classes that we have listed here, like the foundations. I know the
Yeah,
flow hot, but the yin and the yang, and it's not something I'm necessarily familiar with.
right. So foundations is actually our beginner classes. So when you see that on the schedule, that just means that the class that you're going to take is meant for beginners, but advanced practitioners can join as well, because it's really foundations of yoga, right? The alignment of the body, more instruction, we move slower, and we just touch on like the basic standing postures and some other postures in the practice. So a great place to start. And then flow, slow flow, similar in terms of like what we do here at the studio is more what is called like vinyasa flow, what you find in most studios that in the area. But yin and yang and yin, those are classes that are really great. The yin practice is meant to be more passive in the sense that you're rather than like in an active practice, which is the yang is active, rather than using the muscles, we're looking to connect more to the connective tissue in the body, or the fascia. So in yin, you're going to hold postures for longer to kind of sink into the body and let the connective tissue be warmed and opened, stretched. So yin yang is a really nice combination to do that first and then do an active practice after you've opened the body a little more. So, but lots of options. Really great teachers, like you said, that that are here to support our students, keep them safe, and also have them enjoy practice. Yeah.
What about some of your special offerings? I took one of your live stream classes, one of your flow classes, and I thought it was great. That's how I actually learned about your actual studio. But you have this special $5 class?
Yeah, so when we're not in quarantine and the studio is open, the $5 classes are community classes. So we know that yoga, it's not an inexpensive practice. But we do like to offer these community classes for a lower rate for people who maybe can't afford the regular drop-in, who just want to practice yoga, once a week, and they don't want to be a member or pay for the more expensive packs. And also people like who belong to gyms who might just want to drop in for a yoga class every once in a while. So they're really, really great classes. They're just as amazing as our regular classes, but just the times are usually like 4:30, so not available to everybody who to attend, So.
And what's the new student special?
Again, when we're not in quarantine, it's for students who are brand new to the studio who can try out the studio for 3 weeks, and it's $21 for 21 days of unlimited yoga. So they can take as many classes that are on our schedule, so that they can just try everything out, see what they like, what teachers they connect to, what works with their schedule, and then from there they can decide whether they want to join as a member or just buy packs so that they're coming, not as consistently. So.
Well, I guess enough of my chit chat. If they want more information, they can go onto your website.
Yeah.
And I am going to get out of this slide, and then I'm going to turn the class over to you and try
Sure.
to make my presence very inconspicuous.
Okay, so it is about 11:10 now. I'm assuming I'll end like a few minutes before noon. Is that good?
That's great.
Okay. All right. So this will be a foundations class. We'll do about 45 minutes or so of a really basic practice. How I usually like to start class is by coming to a comfortable seat. So I'm going to actually shift over to my mat. I'll just pull my microphone along with me. And if you're at home and you have a blanket that you can grab, go ahead and grab that if you have one. It's always nice to sit up on something so that you can open the hips a little more. So the seat that I'd like you to take, if you can, is Sukhasana, easy pose. So it's just a cross-legged seat. You're going to bring one shin in front of the other and let the knees fall out to the side. So the blanket really is so that the hips can be a little higher than the knees so that it's easier to have the knees fall out and have the groins and the inner thighs relax down. Your hands can rest at the ends of your knees, or maybe you're in your lap. The idea is just to sit tall. Close your eyes or rest your gaze. And see if you can really feel the connection of your sit bones, whatever's touching the earth here right now, connect to that as you press down into the ground, lengthen through the spine. So the alignment here is just to sit nice and tall, a slight connection to your center, to your belly, your navel pulling back towards your spine. And your chin just level with your mat. So you're not lifting the chin up or tucking it too far to the chest, just level to the floor. Shoulders relaxing down and the muscles in the face softening. And this posture meant for centering the body. And just taking the next few moments to connect to the sensations in your body this morning, the quality of your breath. So just notice your natural breath as you move your attention inward. And the reason why we focus so much on our breath during our practice, really different than some other activities that we might do. Although I think the breath is important for every activity that we do, but not always the focus. It's just that the breath is your guide as you move. So being really conscious of the depth, the pace, and when that becomes short and shallow in your movements, in your practice, you know that that's a suggestion or, a note to your body to relax and take rest. So once you've made a connection to the pace and the depth, it's the natural breath, you're going to start to deepen it a little more. So what I like to call three-part breath here, you're going to focus on, as you inhale, letting the belly inflate, the ribs expand, and the chest to rise. So see if you can get that really deep breath into the body on the inhale. And then as you exhale, you'll reverse that process. The chest will fall, the ribs will knit in, your navel pulls in and up, letting all the air out. So basically just expansion and contraction of your torso, sensing that the breath is wrapping around your body 360 degrees here. The breath is soft and smooth, slow and steady. And by steady, I just mean that it's even in length. The inhales and the exhales, try to get them to be even. You might even count to yourself. Perhaps a count of 4 as you inhale and a count of 4 as you exhale. And then trying to extend that count. And just take a few more breaths like this. You're going to try to hold on to this deep, steady breath as we move. So when you're ready, you can slowly open your eyes, blink them open. You can stay on this blanket if you've sat on something, right? And then take your legs out in front. I'm just going to stretch them out. Right, so again, the blanket is here to help have the pelvis in a neutral position, meaning that you can sit tall, the spine is long. And the legs stretched out in front, you might even bend the knees slightly if that's too much to have them completely straight. But whether the knees are bent or the legs are straight, I want you to flex your feet. The toes pointing up and actually towards your face. Have your hands by the sides of your hips, the fingertips pointing forward. You're just on the finger pads and you're gonna sit tall, let the shoulders relax down. Take a few breaths in this pose, Dandasana, staff pose. Then from here, and I'm gonna mirror you. So what I want you to do is slide your right heel in towards your sit bone. You might take your hands, clasp them, and pull the shin in a little more. So the heel is pretty close in. And then you're gonna drop the right knee out to the side and see about bringing the sole of the right foot to your inner left thigh. If that's too intense for the knee or for the hip, you're gonna slide the foot to the calf, right? But try not to press into the knee joint. So either above the knee or below the knee. And then start to turn your chest so that it's facing your left leg. On an inhale, lengthen through the spine. And as you exhale, start to walk your hands forward. Slowly take your time, right? You're gonna go as far as you can. And at some point you'll meet some resistance. And then you're just gonna use the breath to go a little deeper. So as you inhale, you'll lift a little, lengthen, and as you exhale, fold a little further. Right? So the inhales are meant to help you lift and lengthen, your exhales to soften and go deeper. Try to keep your left foot flexed. And again, this leg is either straight or the knee is bent slightly. And you're only going as far as you can. Take a few more breaths. Start to walk your hands back up. Take your right hand back behind you. So close in towards your tailbone. Take your left hand to your right knee. Inhale to lengthen, and then exhale, you're just gonna twist from the natural waist up. So the twist is occurring just in the torso. You might draw your chin to your chest or turn your head to look out over your right shoulder. Right? Take care of your neck. And this is where that awareness of your body and your breath comes in, right? Are you doing things forcefully straining, then your breath probably is becoming labored or shallow. You want to continue deep, steady breathing. Come back to center and stretch your left leg out in, sorry, your right leg out in front. And then we'll switch. So now the left knee bends, you pull the heel in close, you can clasp the hands, help the leg in, and then draw the left knee out to the side. So the sole of the foot either to the inner right thigh or maybe down at the calf, depending on what's happening in your left hip this morning or whenever you're practicing. Good. That right leg, the knee can bend. Take a nice inhale, turn your chest so that it's facing the right leg, and as you exhale, begin to walk your hands forward. Slowly, slowly. Right? with each breath, you're just noticing where you can deepen, or what parts of the body need to soften for you to go a little further. So again, never forcing or muscling your way into a pose just to find like the deepest place, because that changes every day. Be with your body at this moment in time. And on your next inhale, start to walk your hands back up. And then you're going to take your left hand back behind you, your right hand to your left knee. Inhale, lengthen out through the crown of the head. And as you exhale, start to find that twist. And so your chin can stay tucked towards the chest, or look back over your left shoulder this time. Even if your right knee is bent, can you continue to flex the foot? Keep breathing. Try not to hold the breath here. And then come back to center. Straighten the left leg out in front. Sitting in Dandasana or staff pose once again, fingertips on the mat, lengthen through the spine. This time as you exhale, walk the hands forward, folding over both legs. Right, so you did one leg at a time. Now the legs together. Knees can be bent, feet stay flexed though. You walk as far forward as you can. Maybe you grab the feet, the ankles, or the hands stay by the sides of the legs. But let your chin relax towards your chest. Right? Try not to hold tension in the neck. Big stretch for the backs of the legs here. The whole back body. And take another breath. And then slowly start to walk yourself back up. If you are on the blanket, you're just gonna move it aside, and I'm gonna come onto my mat. You're gonna come into table pose. So finding your way onto hands and knees here. And we'll start by just checking in with our alignment. So fingers are spread wide, and typically we ask you to have your wrists underneath your shoulders. But if that's too intense for the wrist joint, you're gonna walk your hands a little further forward of the shoulders and see if that's more comfortable, wherever works for you. And then just press into the hands, more so into the index knuckle and thumb knuckle. A little puff of the upper back. Look at your knees and make sure they're underneath your hips, and the toes can be tucked under or the feet flat. But if you look back and you see your toes, that means that your feet are sickling. Try to send all 10 toes straight back so you can't see the toes. And then from here, pull your navel in and up and look down the bridge of the nose. So you just want to find somewhat flat back, right? The navel pulling in and up is protecting the low back here. Lengthen from the tailbone out through the crown of the head. This is table pose, a neutral spine. And then let's move a little here. So as you inhale, you'll drop your belly and then bring your gaze forward. That's cow pose. As you exhale, you'll round the spine, tuck the chin, tailbone draws down, cat pose. And let's just flow with that a few breaths. Inhale to drop your belly, look forward, try not to dump into the shoulders, keep pressing the mat away and lift the ears away from the shoulders. And then as you exhale, round, tuck the chin, tailbone draws down. Do it one more time, flexion and extension of the spine. Inhale, drop your belly, look forward. Exhale, round, hug everything in. Good. Then come back to a flat back, that neutral spine. Send the hips back towards the heels. So making our way into child's pose, You can keep the knees hips distance apart, or maybe widen the knees out to the sides as wide as your mat. Your toes come together and you send the hips back. Fingertips reaching forward and possibly the forehead coming to your mat. Or if you have props like blocks, you'll take your block and bring it underneath the head to support the neck. And so choose something that will help support the body. But here I want you to have the elbows lifting off the mat so that you're getting extension through the sides of the body, and maybe help having the hands, like pressing into the fingertips to send the hips back. So some teachers call this like tented hands, muffin hands, like saying that there's a muffin underneath the hands and you don't want to squish it. Take a couple of breaths here. And then you're going to come back into table pose. And we're going to do a lot of, not a lot, but a few postures from here, right? So normally we would do this from a downward facing dog, but I think today we'll just do it from table because it's a little less intense. So what I want you to do is see if you can bring your right foot in between the hands, right? And if it only comes up halfway, you're going to take your right hand back behind your right heel and you're going to help it up. So you really want to be looking at 15 fingers and toes. The back foot is going to flatten onto the mat. Right? And then from here, I want you to bring your right hand to your right thigh and your left hand to your left hip as you come upright. So the goal here is try to let the tailbone release down. Pull your belly in and up so that the spine gets a little longer, your torso upright. The stretch that you're feeling would most likely be in your left hip flexor and your quad. This is getting stretched. The inner thighs want to hug in towards one another. So like you're scissoring the thighs together. Imagine that this right heel is trying to pull back to your left knee and your left knee is trying to pull forward to your right heel. Just a few more breaths here. So if you feel comfortable joining me in this, go ahead and do it. You're going to lift your left arm up to the sky. And it's just by your ear if that's possible. And then if you feel really secure in the legs, you're going to lift the right arm up to the sky. Low lunge or Anjayanasana. Keep drawing the tailbone down, your navel in and up, and see if just the sternum, the heart space can open up. You might gaze up. If this is too intense with the arms up, you can bring your hands back where they were, maybe the hands to the hips or the arms by your sides. Take another deep breath in. And then release the hands down. You're going to shift back into table. So the right knee comes back. You might give the hips a wiggle for a moment, readjust, and then bring this left foot forward. So I know that's kind of hard to make that space. You might like lean back a little and just bring the foot forward. Right? However you can get here. But again, you want to be looking at 15 fingers and toes. The left toes pointing forward, the left knee stacked above the left ankle. I don't know if I mentioned that on the other side. Release the right foot to the mat. So the top of the foot pressing down. And then you're going to bring your left hand to your thigh, your right hand to your hip. Right, so same thing here. Action of the legs, they're hugging in towards one another. Tailbone drawing down as much as you can, pulling the belly in and up. So eventually you want to be tall in the spine, not leaning forward, right? Get the shoulders to draw back and down. And then start to lift, if you'd like, to join me. The right arm reaches up. Maybe you stay here, just pressing into the left hand and getting the chest to open. Hips square. Maybe you lift the left arm up. Or the hands come to your hips by your sides, but you're tall, you're opening the chest space, you're feeling the strength of the legs. That's your foundation to get light buoyancy in the upper body. Take another breath in, and then exhale, release the hands down. Bring this left leg back. Come back into table. Good. And then from table, just a moment in downward facing dog. So the toes curl under. You press into the hands, lift the hips, start to straighten the arms, lengthen through the sides of the body. The knees can stay bent as you draw the chest down and back, right? So the hips want to be high here. Then look at your hands and slowly, slowly walk your feet forward. So that might be like 10 steps. It might be 2 steps. Now, bend your knees deeply here. Feet are, and I'll turn to the front, feet are wide, hips distance apart, if not wider. And your knees are gonna bend deeply so that the chest can possibly rest on the thighs. Hold on to opposite elbows. Let your head hang here. Soften the upper body. Let the legs help support this length through the spine. You can shake your head yes and no. Maybe even rock from side to side. Good. Then release your hands down. They're either on blocks, fingertips, or maybe you can touch the earth completely with the palms. Right, but wherever your hands land, you want the arms to start to straighten a little and the legs possibly straighten as well as the head releases down. So a deeper forward bend. The hips are lifting high. And you want to have the hips lined up with the knees and the ankles if you can. Right, but a slight bend in the knees is okay because if you have super tight hamstrings or you have issues with your low back, you always want to protect, so bend the knees. Take a couple of breaths here. And then on your next inhale, slide the hands up the shins. So the heel of the hands end up underneath the kneecap. Press the hands into the shins, lengthen through the sides of the body. So it's a half lift, a neutral spine, navel in and up. You're looking down the bridge of your nose. Exhale, fold once again. A slight bend in the knees to rise all the way up. So as you press down through the feet, you're lifting, straightening the legs, reaching the arms up and overhead, and then bringing the hands to heart center and by your sides, coming into what we call Tadasana or mountain pose. So coming to the top of your mat, feet either hip distance apart or the toes touching. And just take a moment to feel into this tall, upright position, right? So mountain pose, you're strong, you're tall, your tailbone lengthening down, your navel pulling in and up, pelvis neutral, arms by your sides, the shoulders relaxing down. And then just relax the muscles in the face and breathe deep. On your next inhale, arms reach up and overhead. And as you exhale, fold, stretch out over the legs. Inhale, halfway lift. And as you exhale, plant the hands and step your left foot back. So we're going to come into that same low lunge position, but stepping the foot back now. So right here where you are is runner's lunge. This left leg straight back. You're pressing through the heel and you're trying to send the heart forward. Again, hands can be on blocks. Right knee stacked over the right ankle. Then drop the left knee down, flatten the foot, and lift back up just the way we did before. The right hand to the right thigh, the left hand to the hip. Right? Or arms straight up. Just for a moment. Right, to come back to this pose and feel maybe how you can go a little deeper. Bring your hands to the mat once again. And here's where a block comes in handy. So if you have one, you'll bring the block underneath the left hand. You'll bring your right hand once again to the right thigh, but this time what I want you to do is as you inhale, lift and lengthen. And as you exhale, you're gonna twist in towards that right thigh. Right? So try to keep the hips square and level. The twist is happening just in the torso, from the natural waist up. Your right hand can stay at your right thigh. Maybe you bring it to your right hip, the elbow pointing back, or you reach the fingertips up to the sky, right? So again, you're gonna just bring your awareness to the sensations in the body, see what feels best. And that's not to say that you're not challenging yourself, you're just not moving into pain. There might be discomfort, see if you can breathe through it. And if you can't and it's painful, come back to a more modified position. Take another breath in and exhale, release the right hand down, the left hand to the mat. Curl the toes under of that left leg, straighten the leg, and hop the left foot forward, back to Uttanasana, or forward bend. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold, plant the hands, now step the right foot back. So we'll do that on this side, right? So the right leg comes way back, right? Long stance. Left knee stacked over your left ankle. Just find a moment here to breathe in this runner's lunge. So the right heel presses back, the chest lengthens forward, shoulders down the back. Drop the right knee down, flatten the foot, and lift up. Left hand to your thigh, right hand to your hip, right? And then maybe lift the arms up. Take a couple of breaths here. Can you sink a little deeper into the leg? So get a bigger stretch in that right hip flexor and quad. And maybe open the chest a little more, a slight back bend. And then bring your hands to the mat. Block maybe underneath that right hand. Left hand to the thigh once again, but this time as you inhale, press, exhale, twist in towards the left thigh. Keeping the left hand at your thigh, maybe to your hip with the elbow drawing back, so this left shoulder opening, or the right fingertips lifting up to the sky. And I didn't talk about your drishti or your gaze on the other side, but there are a few options. So looking down just helps you balance a little more. Maybe you look out to the side, or if it's okay with your neck and your fingers are lifting up to the sky, see if you can look up. Keep letting the twist just come into the torso. The hips don't want to come into the twist. They want to stay square to the front of your mat, if possible, right? But that same action, you're hugging the legs in. Exhale, release the top hand down. Frame the left foot with the hands, curl the toes under of the right foot, straighten the leg, and then hop that foot forward, come into that fold, let go. Inhale, halfway lift, flat back. Exhale, fold. And as you inhale, rise all the way up. Reach the fingertips high. Exhale, bring your hands through heart center, standing tall in mountain pose once again. So take a round of breath, what we call cleansing breaths. You might sigh the exhale out through the mouth. Lift your arms up and over, and then I'm going to turn to the front, just facing you. I'll hear you here, so I want you to bring your right hand to your right hip. Inhale, lengthen out through your left fingertips, and as you exhale, lean to the right. So that right hand can stay at your hip, or maybe slide it down your thigh. Take a couple of breaths here as you stretch the muscles that are in between the ribs here on the left side body, your intercostal muscles. Right, and gaze can be down, straight ahead, or up at your fingertips. Take another breath, reach a little further. Inhale, lift back to center. Exhale, left hand to your left hip. Inhale, get some length out through those right fingertips, and as you exhale, lean to the left. Right? So your left hand stays at your hip, or you slide that hand down the thigh. Breathe into your right side body now. Chest is open. Find your drishti, your gaze. These lateral stretches meant to open up space for the lungs, right? So on this side, maybe your left lung, or sorry, your right lung feels like it has more space to breathe and open. Inhale, come back to center, fingertips high. Exhale, bring your hands to your hips. So if you're at the top of your mat, what I want you to do is come to face the edge of your mat. So the long side. With your hands at your hips, you're gonna widen your feet. All right, so you might have to, at some point, adjust your mat so that you can still see the screen. Maybe it's more parallel to your computer screen or your phone. So with the feet wide, toes turning in, the heels out, your hands at your hips. Feel that tall spine, tailbone lengthening down, navel pulling in and up. So what we like to refer to in yoga practice, that Tadasana, that mountain pose, we say a lot of times, finding Tadasana, the alignment in that pose in every asana and every posture pose that we take. So see if you can feel that here. With your hands at your hips, you're gonna turn your right toes out. Right? So the right toe is pointing to the short edge of your mat. The left foot parallel to the back edge. Right? And just start to bend into your right knee. So we're coming into warrior two here, standing posture. Try to keep the hips level as you bend into the right knee. This left leg stays strong. And so what I mean by that is that you're pressing into the big toe mound, that outer heel of that left foot. It activates all the muscles in the leg. And this left thigh wants to lift away from the mat. The right thigh wants to get closer. So the strength of this leg is going to help assist going deeper into the right knee bend. You can keep the hands at the hips or reach the arms out to the sides. Find length out through the fingertips, strong arms, relaxed shoulders. You can look out to the side or look over your right fingertips. Just a couple more breaths, right? Use each exhale to go a little deeper. Your inhales help lengthen the sides of the body and reach out through the fingers. Good. Straighten the front leg, the right leg. Hands come to the hips and you're going to switch sides. So the right toes turn in, the left foot turns out. Bend deeply into the left knee. Right? So sink the hips, keep them level. It's like this pendulum, right? It just drops. Spine is still in Tadasana pose, mountain pose. Arms can reach out to the sides and you're using the strength of your back leg as the right thigh lifts away from the mat, the left thigh gets closer, possibly parallel to your mat at some point, right? Maybe look out over your left fingertips, but let the shoulders relax. Take another breath. Good. Straighten that leg, hands to the hips, turn the left toes in. You're coming back to that wide angle position. Take an inhale, the elbows back, the heart lifts, and as on an exhale, you're gonna hug navel in and up. You're gonna slowly hinge at the hips as you fold forward. So keep lengthening the heart forward as you fold. Hands either release to blocks or to the earth. Maybe even the fingertips. Keep lifting halfway, pull belly in and up, right? Keep finding length from the tailbone out through the crown of the head, and then exhale, slowly fold a little more. So I'm gonna give you a couple of options, right? You can stay halfway lifted. If you choose to fold, the head is gonna come down towards the mat. It might touch, it might not, right? Slight bend in the knees if that helps alleviate tension in the backs of the legs or the low back. But I want you to try to press firmly into the big toe mounds, the outer heels of the feet, to activate the legs and to pull the kneecaps up towards the hips. right? The more you can engage the quad muscles, the more the hamstrings will release and broaden to find a deeper fold. Just a few more breaths. So really our practice is a lot about lengthening the sides of the body. I always tease my students and I say that when I started yoga, I was like, you know, under 5 feet, and now I'm 5'3", just from all this length that I've achieved. I do feel taller though from practicing yoga. Let the head relax. One more breath. Inhale, halfway lift. Bring your hands to your hips. You might, before you do that, you might shorten your stance a little to make standing up a little easier. So when you're ready, inhale, rise all the way up. Shimmy the feet back together. Come to the top of your mat. We're gonna come down onto our bellies. So let's take a journey there. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, fold, stretch out over the legs. Inhale, halfway lift. And as you exhale, you're gonna step the feet back. So you're gonna start in a plank position just for a moment. Right when you have the feet back, you're gonna drop the knees down. So this is a little different than table pose. The knees are behind the hips. I want you to bring your chest and your chin to the mat, but as you do that, let the elbows move back, hug into the ribs, right? And lower yourself down. So the chin and the chest maybe make contact, the bum is lifted. Try to relax the shoulders back. And then slide onto your belly. Release the tops of the feet to the mat. Bring your forehead down, but keep the hands by the sides of the chest. So the heel of the hands like in line with the top rib. We'll just come into a couple of back bends and then we'll come onto our back. So what I want you to do here, let me move these props out of the way. What I want you to do here, really lengthen through the feet. Maybe the feet are hips distance or the toes are touching. See what's comfortable for your low back, but get the tailbone to draw down towards the heels. And then on an inhale, you're gonna peel your chest open. So press gently into the hands. It's not a lot of pressure in the hands. Keep the elbows hugging in and lift the chest, just a baby cobra. Chest open, shoulders back. Look down the bridge of the nose, so like in front of you, not up, so that you're not straining or compressing the neck. And then release back down. We'll do it 2 more times. On your inhale, press into the tops of the feet, the thighs, the pelvis. Open the chest, draw the shoulders back. Look down the bridge of the nose. Exhale, release down. 1 more time. So use the earth, press into it, lift the chest open, draw the shoulders back. Maybe you lift a little higher, but keep hugging the elbows in. And then release all the way down. Reach your arms forward. Let your head relax down onto the mat. So this is just like full prostration, your entire front body connected to the earth beneath you. Maybe feeling the earth energy connected to your energy that you just created as you breathe and as you move. Good. From here, flip onto your back. So you're just gonna come to lay down, but what I want you to do is have your knees bent and your feet on the mat. Feet are hips distance apart, toes pointing forward. And with your arms by your sides, just take this constructive rest. For a moment, just feel into your body here now that your back body is connected to the mat. Can you draw your navel down towards your spine so that the low back makes contact? So I have a big curve in my back when I stand. I have to do a lot of work to soften that a little. right? Get my pelvis neutral. So here, I normally come down and I can slide my hands underneath my low back. I want to try to limit that space or narrow that space. So I'm drawing my navel towards my spine to get the low back to connect. Arms by your sides. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take your right ankle on top of your left thigh. So we're just going to open the hip a little here. With the right ankle on top of the left thigh, the knee drawing out to the side and away from you. You're going to pull the legs in, the shin parallel to your chest, and see about threading the right hand through the space that you created with the legs. The left hand comes around and either you clasp the back of the left thigh or the hands on top of the left shin. If you need to lift the head for a moment to come into this, go ahead and do that, but then let the head relax down and you're just pulling that package, the legs, in towards the chest. Keep drawing the right knee away from you and flex the feet. That will protect the knee joints. Look at the time here. Take another breath. And then release the left foot down. Keep the legs as they are. So keep this right ankle on top of the left thigh, but bring the arms out to the sides. You're going to take a twist, so the legs are going to fall to the right. When you do that, that right ankle is on top of the left knee. If that's too intense, because this is a big stretch for the outer left hip and thigh and the IT band, right? You're going to just release the right foot to the mat. A twist. So maybe if you can, look out over the left shoulder. So look in the opposite direction of the legs. Take another breath here. And slowly come back to center. Constructive rest. So the knees bent, the feet flat, the arms by your sides, navel to spine. Get the low back to connect to the mat. Lift the left ankle on top of the right thigh. Pull that whole package in towards the chest. Take the left hand, thread through that space you created, and then either clasp the hands behind the right thigh or bring them on top of the right shin. Keep the feet flexed here. And again, if you lifted your head to come into this shape, see if you can let the head relax down. And if that doesn't happen, I'd rather the head relaxing down and you just let go of the clasp of the hands and just pull the legs in. Breathe into the opening of the left hip, draw that knee away from you. And then release the right foot down, arms out to the sides, keep the legs as they are and just let them fall to the left. So it's gonna start where the left ankle is on top of your right knee. If that's too intense, the stretch is too intense, bring the left foot to the mat. Still gonna feel a stretch, hopefully, in that outer right hip, outer right thigh. And maybe look out over the right shoulder, so opposite from the way the knees are falling. Take another breath. Come back to center. Let's check the time. A couple more minutes here. So coming back to that constructive rest. This time what I want you to do is pull the knees towards the shoulders. So you're going to take one hand to each knee, one knee to each shoulder. So the knees are wide. And then start to lift the feet up to the sky. So what we call here happy baby pose. Feet are flexed and you're gonna either grab the outside edges of the feet, again, letting the head relax down and letting the tailbone relax down so you're not lifting, right? The whole back body wants to make contact. Feet pressing up to the sky. So if you can't grab the feet without lifting the head, hold on to the calves, maybe the backs of the thighs. You're just pulling the knees down towards the armpits, feet pressing up to the sky. You can rock your baby or stay still. And give yourself a big squeeze. Pull your knees in together. Wrap your arms around your legs. Lift your head towards your knees for a moment. Just hug everything in. And then you're going to take like a minute of a shavasana, right? So and you're going to continue this after maybe you watch the video, you shut it off here and you let yourself rest and then come back to the rest of the video. But let the legs be wide, let the arms be wide. Shavasana, or final rest, is meant to allow the entire body to relax here now. You've used your muscles, you use the engagement of your body. So now you want every muscle, every cell to soften, to release, to surrender into your mat, being still, allowing the mind to quiet. Just a minute here. And if you'd like to extend that, you can come back to the video after. Usually we say for about a 60-minute practice, a 5-minute shavasana is really great, or even longer if you can. But then from here, you'll turn to your right side. So I bend the knees, I roll onto my right side, I let my right arm cradle my head for a breath. Coming into this fetal position, making my way back into my body, back into the space that I've practiced. Then I'll slowly press into my left hand, straighten my left leg, lift back to that seat where we started. Just take a moment to come back into Sukhasana, one leg crossed in front of the other. This time, hands at heart center. Breathe into your heart space, feel your body here. The sensations of your body, the quality of your breath. Your eyes closed, maybe even bowing your head to your heart. I thank you so much for joining me in this practice. Bringing your thumbs to forehead center, you can take a bow to yourself, to your practice, maybe to someone who practiced alongside you. Namaste.
Wow, that was great. I really appreciate it. It was quite a nice workout, good relaxation, and I just think it was an incredibly valuable class and incredibly generous of your time.
Oh, of course, my pleasure.
Right. So I just want to remind people that you had mentioned that they could be in Shavasana for a longer period of time. I know you mentioned it already, but that before you roll over onto your side, you can take 5 minutes or longer to just let your whole body relax and breathe through your whole body. And I just want to again thank you, Christina.
Yeah.
And this is the information that you can get in touch with Christina or any of her excellent yoga teachers at her center. And I am going to stop the video and look forward to the next one. Thank you guys for staying with us.